Hey, how's it going? How's everybody doing? Almost dropped my phone. But anyway, yeah, how's it going? How's everybody doing? I'm just continuing on with doing the decade by decade showing stuff from my collection. I've done 1920s, 1940s, 50s, 60s, 70s, part one of 1980s, and 1990s to current day. So this is going to be actually part two of the 1980s. So let's get into this. And if you want to subscribe, if you haven't already, I'd really like just to get up to 1,000 subs. I'm not monetized. I'm just a little guy on YouTube, just having some fun. But yeah, I don't know why. Suddenly I was looking over there and be like, what's he looking at? But anyway, yeah, I'm just a guy having some fun, doing some things, posting videos for shits and giggles. But if you want to help me get up to 1,000 subs, help me get to 1,000 subs just for fun, I would really appreciate the subscription. And if you would like to comment below, talk about some of the stuff in your collection, talk about some of the stuff in my collection. Yeah, that'd be great. And like the video too if you really want to. Anyway, let's just get into this. So this is part two of the 1980s. So you can see a lot of my stuff there. And just for the record, getting some of this shit off the shelf, knocked over a bunch of things. Nothing broke, thankfully. So, if you also want to subscribe and say, oh, I'm really sorry that happened. Here's a sympathy subscription. Anyway, I'm just playing. But stuff did fall down, but nothing broke. So I'm quite happy about that. So let's start off up here in the corner. This is a fairly new figure. This is McFarlane from the movie Maniacs collection. I don't know why my light just went off. But anyway, yeah, from the movie Maniacs collection, Scarface. It's just a 3D recreation of the poster, which I think looks really cool. It's got the original poster in the background, as you can see there. And Tony Montana looking all angry, but really good figure. I really like this figure. Scarface. And this is actually raised, so it makes it look a little bit nicer. And then over here I got a lunchbox. There is actually a thermos in here, but I'm not going to open it. But that's Killer Clowns from Outer Space, obviously. Really fun 1980s sci-fi, horror, comedy, whatever you want to call it. It's really good mix, really cool effects for what it is. Really, if you haven't seen it, I recommend checking it out. And same with Scarface, but I think most people by now have seen Scarface or are definitely aware of it. But a lot of people don't know it's actually a remake. The original came out in 1932, and it starred Paul Muni as Tony. I forgot his last name in the film, but it's not Montana. But instead of being Cuban drug lords, he's a mob boss, or he's a mob guy working his way up. But the story's very similar. I would suggest checking it out if you're okay with black and white movies, which I am, obviously. All right, so let's get down here. We'll start off in the back here. This is Alien, or actually, They Live. You can see the female ghoul. They Live's a great movie. Roddy Piper, rest in peace. And oh crap, I forgot the other lead. He's in The Thing. He's in a bunch of things. Usually playing a tough guy. I can't remember his name, but anyway, that was given to me by someone who I don't associate with anymore because he's kind of a douchebag and a creep. But anyway, I won't get into that. And there's an Aliens figure. And some more. These are all reaction figures, by the way, if you didn't already know that. You can see by the logo there at the bottom. These are my Terminator figures. These are actually what kind of got me into buying the reaction figures, because I swore a couple years ago I would never buy them because they're way overpriced for what they are. But then, being the big Terminator fan, especially the first Terminator, I was like, well, I'm going to get these anyway. But anyway, Kyle Reese, and then Terminator in its first outfit, and then in the later outfit there. And, of course, Sarah Connor back there. And there, I'll try and get in here, but it's probably just going to look, yeah. But the only one out of that series I'm missing is the endoskeleton, which I have my eye out for. So, do the back row first. Here's Freddy from Nightmare on Elm Street Dream Warriors. That's part 3. Not sure if I put this in the last video. I don't think I did. so I put it in here. But really cool figure, NECA. Well done. And RoboCop I bought at a antique shop. It just happened to have some toys. This is from the early '90s. It's been in I've mentioned in a couple videos, and he's got his gun. And where is it? On this side, the leg actually opens up like it does in the movie, and then it fits into his hand. This is actually from RoboCop 3, though, not the first RoboCop. And he does talk, and surprisingly, he still does. It's not super clear, but maybe if I change the batteries, or it could just be because it's an old toy and it's just worn out. But it's pretty big. Like that's my hand for scale. It's a pretty tall toy. And then we got Jumbo over here from Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And that's that's Amigo figure. And for Amigo figure, it's actually really well made. Like really well detailed. Like you can just like the face looks really good. Amigo figures are usually a little bit less detailed than a lot of the other ones, but this one's really well made. And then Chainsaw Massacre 2. I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw this movie, I hated it, but then again, I think most people did, if they were a fan of the original, because they're expecting that sort of same grittiness, and they got this. But it's actually a really fun movie. I do enjoy it now. It's definitely grown on me. But that's Chop Top, of course. Mosley. Crap, I'm forgetting names today. But yeah, you know who I'm talking about. In the Rob Zombie movies, he was in the remake of Night of the Living Dead. He's been in a lot of stuff. And he actually got this part because he did a short film called Texas Chainsaw Manicure, where he actually played the hitchhiker character as a prequel to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I think that's either Kim Henkel or Toby Hooper, probably Toby Hooper, or maybe both, liked him so much in that they actually casted him in this role without really even an audition. It was like, yeah, this is yours. So, and of course, Leatherface from Part 2. And these are Mego doll, or sorry, NECA dolls. This is the Leatherface I like to call the horny Leatherface. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But still a pretty cool figure. And then we'll move back over to this end. There's the car from Karate Kid 2. Or Karate Kid. There's the car from Karate Kid. I don't know why I said Karate Kid 2. I don't even know why I even thought of that. And then just some random Star Wars guys. Got the two versions of the Emperor, the Kenner version, and then this little guy here, and Boba Fett, who, for you younglings who never got to see Star Wars in its original cut, Boba Fett was never actually in A New Hope. He made his debut. Well, he made his debut technically in the holiday special in a cartoon, but live action he was in Empire Strikes Back was his first appearance. And there's a little Yoda. That's actually a Christmas ornament. You can see the little hooks onto the top. And there's a NECA E.T. in the back there, right there. And Stripe from Gremlins, of course. Even though he never actually wore the popcorn bags on his ears, that wasn't him wearing them, but I thought it looked cool. And then Gizmo wearing the 3D glasses, and another random gremlin that was wearing them in the theater. And over here we got Pinhead. And the box is not sitting properly in his hands. I had it in his hands properly, and at some point it got moved after I kind of glued it into place, so now that's how it is. But still a cool figure. And the Toonie Terrors version of Freddy from NECA's Toonie Terrors series. Oh, I've got the coughs. And some Empire Strikes Back era die-cast Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. Right there, of course. And then look at that. kneel down a little bit here. And some Jasons that's from part 4, if I'm not mistaken. That's part 6, when he was resurrected as the zombie era Jason. And that is part, I think it's part 7. The one where he meets the chick with the telekinesis one. But I believe that's part 7 there. And then just a reaction figure version of Jason. And then the Creeper from Creepshow, also another NECA figure. Very well made. See the detail in the face. Very cool figure. And then we got a Scout Trooper from, of course, Return of the Jedi. Right there. Okay, time to stand back up. And the DeLorean time machine, that's obviously from part 3. You can tell by the wheels, first of all. That's the first giveaway. And the piece on the hood right there. And this guy, I've talked about this in a few videos, but yeah, that guy lights up. And then another one still in package. These might have been in my part 1 of 1980s. I can't remember. But I kept that in the package just, I don't know, just to keep it in the package for reasons. And then down here I got some Hot Wheels Ghostbuster cars, the Ecto 1. And that's from part 1. And that one's the one from part 2. And then over here, lastly, in this section, I got I've talked about this in a few videos, but this is a really well-made toy. This is Jada Toys. And they make some really solid, awesome-looking cars. I got a bunch of them now. But this is the Freddy car. You see it at the end of the film with the with his sweater pattern on the roof. And it comes with a little Freddy figure. And Nancy sitting in the passenger seat there. And over here we got RoboCop. And the car from one of the cruisers from RoboCop. And obviously it comes with a little figure too, which I really like. So I'm just going to move into the other room because there's stuff on the shelf that were just too much of a pain in the ass. And like I said, I'd already knocked over a bunch of things. So I wasn't going to risk it again. So I will just go right there and record it from where they actually stand. I'm not even going to pause. I'm just going to wander over there. So on this shelf here, and it's dark in here, so everything's just flashlight. But there's one of the gargoyles from Ghostbusters, of course, that turn into the Terror Hound. It goes from that, and then when it comes to life, it turns into that. But that was in the last video, so I don't need to worry too much about that. And then, of course, more Ghostbuster stuff right there. Stay Puffed. And a Snow Trooper from, or Stormtrooper or Snow Trooper, what do you want to call it, from Empire. And the fertility idol in the background there from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Another time machine, DeLorean time machine there from Back to the Future, of course. And another E.T. And I know that's from 90s. Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. And Leia, and there's also another Leia. And then up top here we got from The Shining, Chucky from Child's Play, obviously. You can see all this stuff was in the way. I would have had to move so much just to get it out, so I didn't bother. Sorry, being lazy. And there's the only Living Dead doll I own. And unless I see a Leatherface or something really cool, it's probably the only one I ever will own, but that's Jack Torrance from, obviously, The Shining. And down here, got another DeLorean. But this has been in a few videos, so there isn't really much to talk about this one. So, and then over here I got my Predators and Aliens, but Predators are more the 80s stuff. in the background there. Oh, I hear people outside. And then up top, there's the librarian ghost from Ghostbusters, obviously. And then, oh, yeah, there he is. Right there, that's the taxi driver ghost or zombie, whatever you want to call it, from Ghostbusters. And then some Star Wars stuff there. Some anyway, so this was 1980s. Sorry, let me get myself in the frame here. 1980s part 2. If you watched it all the way, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. If like I said, if you want to subscribe, help me get up to 1,000 subs. That would also really appreciate it. And like, comment, talk about stuff you have, talk about stuff I have. If there's anything that caught your eye that you think is really cool and you want to ask about them, by all means, please do. And I guess I'll cut this video off here, and until next one, bye.